Did you know your birth certificate is used as collateral when it comes to government debt? Now, essentially, I want to just talk about essentially what's a big claim, and kind of more importantly, just bring more clarity around the ucc-1. Okay, the ucc-1 essentially you can use to reclaim your financial rights using the ucc-1. Okay, and I'm going to explain that. So in this video, I'll break down the ucc-1 process, why people file it, and how it can give you more control over your financial circumstance. Okay, now a lot of times if you go back to my previous video where I talked about the ucc-1 filing, think of this more as a part 2 to that video. A lot of things that to bring a little bit more clarity around the ucc-1. And again, before you tap into this, all right, this is not legal advice, okay? This is not financial advice, all right? All rights are reserved, and essentially, this is for the people who understand me when I'm talking about this knowledge, and it's not for the people who don't believe it. It's not for the people who are afraid to take the risk, and essentially, it's not for people who are not willing to study and do their own due diligence, okay? So wanted to get this video out real quick, man, because, I just wanted to bring more clarity around this video or around the ucc-1 video. If you wanted to learn more about the ucc-1 and how to utilize it to discharge debts, go watch my last video. But I plan to use this video as more of a breakdown, a more simplified version of the previous video. I feel like that was a pretty long form version of the video. So essentially, just to break down what a ucc-1 is, it's a financing statement or a legal document that businesses file to claim security interest in a collateral. So back to what I said about your birth certificate being used as collateral when it comes to government debt. Essentially, it's connected to, if you know what a birth certificate is, it's a certificate of title. All right, it's a ownership certificate. Okay. It looks just like the title to your car. And some believe it to be able to reclaim their legal identity and their financial rights. And I'm only saying some believe because, again, this is more of people who understand the straw man concept and essentially want to utilize this to go more into private. Now, I'm not trying to tell you guys to dive into the private, or there's more of a extra benefit if you are in the private. But what I will say is, essentially, if you understand the concepts that I'm about to talk about today, you can use it to your financial benefit, or more importantly, you can use it to get closer to financial freedom. Okay, my goal behind my channel, my goal behind the videos that I talk about is to help you guys get closer to financial freedom, develop your business, get out of unlawful debt, and essentially just empower you to learn the law, learn some of these concepts, and use it to your advantage. All right, this could work. This has worked for some people, and this hasn't worked for others. Okay, but I'll tell you that the people that who it has worked on, those people were very diligent in exercising their rights, and they are very diligent in understanding their rights. And so again, if you want to be like those people, then be very diligent about learning the information, everything that surrounds everything I'm talking about. There's only so much that I could dive into. Part of my Complete Debt Guide, which is my course program that breaks down the administrative process. The main focus point is the admin process and how to be able to communicate with debt collectors and any other legal form of communication to build up evidence, and also at the same time to sue debt collectors. But let's just say you get in a particular situation and you want to learn more about sovereignty, or learn more about being in the private, or learn more about the UCC. I have documentation and resources that you can use to learn more about this included in the Complete Debt Guide under the resources section. So if you have that program, you can access the resource section and have over 200 gigabytes worth of content in there that is just included on top of my teachings. Okay, so again, that comes free with anybody who purchases the Complete Debt Guide. All right. Now I want to talk a little bit about the straw man concept. Now your all caps name is a business entity. And we talked about this a little bit in my videos, especially when it comes to the no doc videos. Your all caps name is a entity. All right. Sorry. Your all caps name is like an LLC. So when you think about it, if you look at your LLC as a something separate of you and you just own an LLC, the straw man is the same exact thing. And if you want to learn more about the straw man, I suggest you tap into a book called Meet Your Straw Man. You can type in meetyourstrawman.pdf on Google and you'll be able to find it. You can also purchase this on Amazon.com for $5. So again, people will say, oh, this information is so hard to find. But again, you can go on Amazon and find this stuff. You can type in every single thing that I'm talking about and you can find it on Google. You don't have to go to DuckDuckGo or put in a VPN to find this info. The thing is, this information has to be shown, but it's only shown to the people that are seeking it. Okay? I always say that people benefit from the information when they know it. But if you don't know it, then you won't benefit. Okay? So I can talk about these things. I can talk about the UCC. I can talk about the financing statement and all of that. But if you don't actually learn it, you won't benefit. Okay? So essentially, how the government uses the straw man against you is they would classify you or treat you as the entity versus treating you as a natural person. Okay? So the ucc-1, of course, is going to be able to, of course, it's going to help you in discharging debts because essentially when you file a ucc-1, you are essentially saying that I am not my straw man. I'm the creditor, or I am a natural breathing person. Okay? So real quick, man, if I were to pull up the Truth in Lending Act on Cornell Law, pull my screen real quick. So the Truth in Lending Act, all right, you can go on law.cornell.edu, and the Truth in Lending Act is the truth in lending. Okay? You can also go to UCC Article 9, and you can get more definitions about banks and commercial processes. Okay? But this is on the United States Code. It says under the definitions and rules of construction, the term person means a natural person or an organization. And it says organization means a corporation, government, or governmental subdivision, agency, trust, estate, partnership, cooperative, or association. So when you think of the term organization, think of businesses. And when you think of the term natural person, think of a natural living, breathing person. So when you look at the term person, it means both. Okay? You have to be both in order to be a person under this subsection of the Truth in Lending Act, or when it comes to lending. Okay? And then it says the term credit means a right granted by a creditor to a debtor to defer payment of debt or to incur debt and defers payment. The term creditor refers to only a person who regularly extends, whether in connection to loans, sales of property, otherwise consumer credit, which is payable by agreement within 4 installments. Okay, we won't dive into detail on this, but a person who regularly extends consumer credit when it comes to loans, sales, and property or service. Now back to the creditor and the debtor conversation. When you look at the UCC financing statement, okay, there's a space for the secured party, which will be the secured party creditor, and there's a slot for the debtor, okay, which would be your straw man, okay? Now your straw man is your all caps name, first, middle, last, and then you are the beneficiary. Well, let me do it this way. Last, middle, or as a matter of fact, first, middle. Okay. There's multiple ways that you can fill out your beneficiary name, or you can do this in all lowercase, or you can just put your last name and then your first, right? But essentially, notice the difference, okay? Sometimes it's the other way around, but the essential big thing to highlight is one is in all caps and one is not. One has a colon, and one doesn't, okay? And on most of our documents, it looks like this, okay? In all caps, all right? So understand that you being a creditor, you're the natural person is the creditor, and the debtor is the organization, okay? So to kind of just bring it back to the benefit in understanding the ucc-1, okay, this is essentially, or why people file the ucc-1, is to shift you from the debtor to a creditor, okay? Number two, to claim ownership over their all caps name, allegedly, straw man, and to supposedly regain financial rights and avoid taxation. This is something that is controversial. So again, this is not tax advice. This is not legal advice. I wouldn't tell you to do this in order to avoid taxes. If you own a business, pay your taxes, okay? But if you so far along, get farther along in understanding this process, you may be able to avoid paying taxes, okay? However, I will say that there are some ways you can avoid taxes through a trust, okay? And we won't dive into that right now, but if you know anything about a trust model, it's very similar in a case where it takes a lot for somebody to be able to get in the trust. So if you put your assets in a trust, or you put something that you own in a trust, then technically it pretty much overcomes any type of commercial law. Okay, it's a lot of steps before you can actually get or see what is in someone's trust, especially if you have something like an irrevocable trust. There is a revocable trust, and if you open it, then that'll put you in a situation where you can get in and out. That gives people the opportunity to see your assets, but in a trust is something private, and it doesn't have to be directly tied to your name. Okay. People also use the ucc-1 to challenge debts, fines, and other governmental claims. So a thing is, this is what I would use the ucc-1 for, to discharge debts and also put creditors on notice that, hey, look, I'm separate from my creditor, or I'm separate from my debtor. Okay. Now, how to file the ucc-1 is very plain and simple. Okay. If you wanted to file the ucc-1, all you have to do is just type in ucc-1. You can either find it by just typing it in. Right here it shows like the Texas PDF, which is the one I have pulled up. You can fill it out here and you can print it and then mail it to your Secretary of State, or you can just go to your Secretary of State website or type in UCC financing based off of your state. It will take you to the website to actually fill it out. Everybody has a different type of way to e-file it. Like Florida, you create an account, you register and all that. They don't send you the PDF. But in other places, you could probably just download it and get the address to send it to from the state website. Okay. So back to my notes. You want to make sure you list yourself as the secured party, okay, which is this top part. You want to make sure to list your all caps name as the debtor. And then, and this is if you are going more on the private side or sovereignty side, you would attach or use your birth certificate as collateral. Okay. But let's just say if it's for debts, and the birth certificate is really just like if you want to take it that far. However, it does take more steps than just doing the ucc-1, like getting your birth certificate authenticated, correcting your status on your passport, like filling out things like the Form 56, like filling out things like, there's many more documents that's just not coming off the top of my head. All this stuff is included in my complete debt guide. The only reason I'm not diving into it so deeply is because I haven't delved deep into this process. I only utilize the ucc-1 and only utilize debt discharge to remove debt. I haven't fully dived into this. I would say the biggest aspect to truly be able to take advantage of this is more understanding the process and how to communicate with debt collectors or communicate with any entity about who you are, because you can fill this out, but if you don't understand what it all means, then it's really no point. After you fill this out, you submit your form to your Secretary of State. Okay. There's some check boxes down here. I won't dive into that because it's really geared towards your particular situation and what you're using it for. But understand that you are the secured party, okay? And the debtor is your all caps name, or the straw man. Some people call it the debtor, some people call it the straw man. But when you come to and you see things like this, okay, that clarifies that a person is either or, you know that there is something out there that is an entity, Okay. And the question is, what is it? Now back to the book that I was talking about, Meet Your Straw Man. If you want to learn more about this, definitely tap into Meet Your Straw Man. But anybody who has to complete that guide, I have a PDF in my program, but you can also find it here. Okay. Again, let me just see if I can do Amazon. See if it's on Amazon. I mean, you can clearly find it for free online, but you can, if you actually want like a copy of it, it's literally on Amazon. UCC Connection, Meet Your Straw Man by David E. Robinson. This is no promo. But check it out if you want an actual hard copy and actually take a look at it for yourself. You dig me? Only reason I'm showing you that is because I'm not going to dive too deep into the straw man conversation, just kind of shedding more light and bringing clarity around it. Okay? Now, how can this help you? The point is, it's going to legally separate you from your entity. It's going to give you more control over your finances, because if you have this put in place, then essentially companies have to go through you instead of treating you as a debtor, right? They can actually legally do things to you or lawfully do things to you if you fall under the jurisdiction of a debtor, or if you fall under the jurisdiction of a dead entity. So your straw man is considered a dead entity, and by law, you being a dead entity is actually, a dead person doesn't have rights, okay? Back when you talk about the SESKV Act, the SESKV Act literally declared us lost at sea so that they can be able to create straw mans of us, okay? You can use it to challenge certain debts and governmental claims. Now, here's what people who like talk about this and make it more of a mystique. You know, people will say courts don't always recognize the ucc-1 filing. You have to understand the legal implications before filing, and it doesn't automatically eliminate taxes or debt obligations. The reason why skeptics say that is because they don't understand law, and that's okay. This is for people who are not trying to be skeptics and people who actually are seeking the knowledge and want to learn more about this, okay? Some things you want to consider before filing the ucc-1 is make sure you do your research. I talked about this in my previous video. Understand that if you file this incorrectly, you actually will have some consequences. Number two, understand the risk behind this. So to people who misuse the UCC filing, they'll face legal trouble. All right. Legal trouble is contrary, but again, make sure you're being proper. I would say anything, if you challenge a company or say a company is doing something wrong, you better be able to prove it. You better be able to substantiate your claim by providing evidence and proving it. And it's not just screaming the laws, but it's more of maybe asking them in the ways I'll talk about in invalidating debt, maybe asking them and saying, hey, you know, where's the source of funds? You know, how did the money come about? And if they can't answer that, this is you literally invalidating claims or invalidating debts in a sense. And if you can show evidence of you asking direct questions that they couldn't give you answers to, this could be used as substantial evidence in court, okay? And another thing is make sure you're consulting a legal professional. Again, this is not legal advice, all right? I'm not an attorney, okay? So essentially take what you hear today and go and consult a legal professional, lawyer, if you really are nervous about this, okay? So one of the takeaways is, you know, file a UCC-1, okay? It's not a magic trick to erase your debt, but it could be a powerful tool if you know how to use it, all right? If you know how to use the UCC-1, this could be super effective to negotiating and challenging debt. So essentially, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to talk about. Wanted to clarify a couple of things, man. You know, let me know what you guys think about the UCC-1. Okay, let me know in the comment section if you have any questions that you directly have about the UCC-1, about discharging debt, about funding, and how to be able to utilize that. Drop it down below, and hit that like button and subscribe for more content on financial freedom and the legal loopholes. Okay. Also, if you really want to take this serious and you really want to get some extra information, I put together a complete debt guide course that breaks down how to communicate with debt collectors. I have resources and documentation on the UCC talking about sovereignty, and on top of my course program that talks about how to sue debt collectors and enforce any of these laws, I have those extra resources and tools that you can also add to your learning. Okay, I don't cover every single thing about sovereignty under the complete debt guide. It's very focused on debt discharge and focused on debt administration, but the extra resources that I have does. Okay, so if you want to learn more, go ahead and tap into the complete debt guide. Thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.